Stones. Beats by DJ Stones.
Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
Hate to start on this note, but we really have to. Can you hear okay today?
I hear you guys great. I mean, this should be a better show because I couldn't hear you last time.
Jerry's the ultimate professional. Turns out, thank you, Stones, for pointing this out. Last week, I guess you really had a hard time hearing, and you powered your way through. And it turns out, Jerry, you couldn't hear because your audio cable was disconnected because somebody, and I don't, we don't.
Yeah,
point
we don't know
fingers.
who exactly.
We don't point fingers on the show.
We don't know.
But somebody stepped
We don't
on your
know.
cable and disconnected you.
Inadvertently,
Inadvertently.
I assume.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Might have been
Yeah.
inadvertently.
Yeah,
We don't know.
It might have been. I might have disconnected the wrong guy's cable that I was looking to do something else.
Well, the way I looked at it at the time, and I kind of mentioned, I'm sure not hearing you guys early in the show. I looked at it later, and as it went on, it's like, this is probably better, not?
Yeah, it's much better.
I could just see when I could just check when your mouths were closed, if ever. Then I could kind of chime in.
So I did you a favor.
Yes.
And I did the show a favor.
And
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Because rumor has it that Phantom was recently doing some kind of football game. He does all these high school games, and he lost his audio, and he just wouldn't do anything.
No.
He just shut down. It's like, nope, I'm not talking. Whereas you did the whole pod that way.
Well, when you have worked for the Kings, you learn how to adjust. And
Adversity is your friend. Yes.
Adversity is a big part of who you are.
Big part of your life. Yes, I'm usually so well engineered by Stones McCoy, I don't have those problems.
Yeah, okay.
So when I do, it's rare.
Speaking of the Kings, and of course you got your Kings shirt on today.
Yes,
we're
I
going
do.
to start a new segment today. We won't tip off with it, but we will get to a new segment. Pod Save the Kings, because it's been 16 years now since
16 years.
Yeah,
This will be
so
year 17. Yeah.
obviously you coached. You just performed about every task there is to perform for them. Phantom and I, season ticket holders, so we're very familiar with the Kings here locally. But this is a national story.
It is a
16
national story. Yeah,
years.
yeah.
So could this be the year that maybe they break through? So we will get to that today. But did you guys enjoy your NBA Media Day yesterday?
Oh, fascinating. Yeah. Every team seems to be on the right track. They're all on the same page. They all like their additions, and they all feel like the coach has a good handle on where they need to go.
How about
so
that?
I was thinking maybe every team's going to make the playoffs this year. It may be different.
Well, it is. It's one of those things I've always said that, it's like, well, if you're going to be positive, that's the day.
Well, yeah, 'cause you haven't done anything.
And the only exception to that, I think, was Greg Popovich pretty much told the truth. But then again, Greg can. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You win a bunch of championships, and you can tell the truth. Well, hey, we're not very good.
Yeah.
You know,
He said, I don't know if I should say this, but
Yeah.
you probably heard. But I don't think anybody in this room should be betting on us to win, going to Vegas and betting on us to win the championship.
I got to tell you guys a story, and I probably told us before, so hold up 2 fingers if you've heard it. But I always remember growing up in Indiana, they had always had a tournament tip-off show on the local or area radio, and everybody listened to it because everybody into high school basketball.
Sure.
Or
High school
before that-
basketball on the radio?
Oh yeah,
Indiana,
yeah.
man. Come on.
Well, anyways,
Was Phantom doing the games?
huh?
Was Phantom doing
I
the
couldn't hear a thing.
Anyway, now, so this show, basically a season starter actually before the tournament, and asked this old coach. He'd been with Petersburg High School, I think, for years, and they had him on and said, Coach, how do you see your team? What kind of prospects do you have? And he said, well, looks like we're not going to be very good. We got the same old boys back.
I would like to see that on
Yeah.
Media Day. I really would like to see somebody say that on Media Day.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's like,
Got these same old boys back.
Same old
Basically
boys.
did
Yeah,
see it.
I got
Yeah.
nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, they weren't any good as juniors. I don't know why they're going to be good as seniors.
I thought that Pop, after their great players decided we're done, I thought maybe he'd kind of, I've had enough. But he's sticking it out. I guess, are they tanking this year for Wembanyama?
Bayana.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's a strategy, and of course we know that maybe they'll get him. Maybe they won't. I mean, only one team can get him, and it is a lottery. And,
Right.
Yeah.
And he is supposedly the clear number one.
I'll make sure I said his name right.
Yeah, check that out.
Wembanyama. Yeah.
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama.
7'4", supposedly.
French guy,
right?
yeah.
Got some-
Tremendous player. But when you're Popovich's age, do you play for next year? I mean, I would say you got to go for what you play for the season in front of you, don't you, Jer? Am I right?
Well, I do think. I mean, Pop is the exception to a lot of rules. And-
Absolutely. Love the
so-
guy. Love
so,
him.
if he wants to continue to coach, he can get by with 21
Exactly,
seasons.
yes.
So he can do that. I'm like you. I'm surprised. I don't know what he's going to accomplish there. I mean, obviously he gets out of coaching. He's still president of the San Antonio Spurs.
That's right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
making whatever, millions and millions. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, he's earned whatever direction he wants to go, as far as I'm concerned.
Venom, let me just say this. Thank goodness that lottery reform is taking care of
Oh,
tanking. We
thank
don't have
you.
tanking
Yeah.
anymore,
No,
right?
we don't. We
Since
just
they
have crummy
reformed the
teams.
lottery.
We just have terrible teams who don't play
Yeah.
their best players. We
Yeah.
don't have tanking.
It
no.
seems now, and I
No.
understand it, but it
We have
seems
load
like
management.
more teams tank now because, like, well, wait, we have as good a chance to get the number one pick as the worst team, then we're going to tank too.
Yeah.
It's just
But if 12 teams have
Makes
the same
sense.
chance,
Well,
really,
I
you
know,
don't have
I
much
know.
of a chance.
You
You,
really
have an
don't.
8% chance if you're one of the worst teams. So, I mean, it's what do you do when you're not the guy? When you tank and you don't get Victor W. I mean, what's the next guy? I mean,
well, don't you have to either be horrible or really good? You don't want to be.
Well,
but that's
it's-
bad for the league, isn't it? I mean, that's bad for.
Well, I think it's such a cop out at this stage because the lottery is the lottery and the percentages are what they are.
14% chance is like the best you can get. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
so
one
the
out of
most-
7.
So I think a lot of times you know teams that are bad are using it as almost a cop out. Well, we're they.
Oh
can
yeah,
go-
we're not this bad.
We're
We're
not.
we're actually trying to get. Yeah, we're trying to be bad.
Yeah, it's a little bit of. You really how long you gonna do this? And as we all know, sometimes the sure thing isn't the sure thing. I mean, it's like I always remember the Blake Griffin draft when he was certainly the consensus number one and a terrific player.
Yes.
But a guy named Steph Curry went in there later, and
Yeah, so-
who would you take now?
Don't forget, Tabit was also in. What was he, fourth?
Yeah, he was second, I believe.
Second,
Yeah.
second.
So
Yeah,
you
he
can,
was second,
You can
I
miss
think.
it number 2 as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
well,
Tyreek-
absolutely.
I think Kings fans know that.
Yeah.
Because Tyreek was
Oh,
fourth,
nice.
right? Yeah,
Those
Tyreek was
headphones are
fourth.
on today.
Yeah, Tyreek was fourth. Harden was in there, right?
Harden
Yeah.
was third.
Yeah.
Harden
yeah.
was third.
Yeah, and Minnesota drafted the two.
Rubio and Flynn.
Rubio
Yeah.
was 5, and Johnny Flynn, the
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, the great
Yeah.
Johnny
and,
Flynn.
and then Curry 7.
See, I think maybe that's the other reason why I'm tanking if I'm a bad team, because I know now I look at these drafts and people miss on number one all the time,
All the
especially
time.
now that players come out when they're so young. So if I have a top 5, even 6, 7 maybe in some of these drafts, I got a chance to get a really
Yeah.
transitional, franchise transforming player. I should say.
Well,
Especially
but
if I
there-
can get
but there
2 or
aren't-
3 of them in a row.
Yeah, but there aren't that many out there. A transformable franchise guy
That's
like
why
you said.
got to do it the Hinkie way, right? Which is I got to do it year after
Yes.
year. I
Right.
got to really commit
But
to this.
there's also there. He's well into 5th year, and the league just said, "Good
yeah,
Lord,
I know.
That's 250
It's
first
sad.
rounders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 wins a year." At some point here,
I got to step in, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the math of it does make sense.
I guess it makes
well,
sense.
the problem is though, you can't build through the draft. It takes too long. I mean, and you really have to
Yeah.
have.
But if I'm a small market team, don't I have to, Jerry?
Well, you need to. I mean, you need to get stars that way. But I'm saying at some point, you're going, just like Philly, you're going to have to get some free agents and trades, which, of course, they did, to make themselves better.
Yeah.
To make themselves actually a competitive team. They had to
Yeah.
bring in, through free agency and trades, actual basketball players to go with their young guys.
Because to your point, they drafted guys that they hoped would be foundational pieces. Pardon me, Michael Carter Williams, right? He's like, he's not that good. Jaleel Okafor, he's not that good. Nerlens Noel, he's not that good.
Well, they traded.
Yeah.
They traded Drew Holiday,
Oh, I love
who's
Drew.
pretty damn good
He is,
still.
yes, yes.
He was an all-star,
Yeah.
and Hinkie traded him for the rights to Nerlens Noel. I always said if they hadn't have done that, they might have actually had a chance.
Yeah.
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 But anyway,
But when you rely on hitting it on the draft, if you miss 1 year, that just sets you back, especially when you're a bad team. Because we're going to go out, we're going to get this guy, you get that guy, and so that's nothing. So you
Yes.
got nowhere that year.
But
so then you get
that's-
another good draft choice the next year.
Yes.
Well, you've already shown the percentages aren't that great.
That's why I know tanking it's bad for the league. But if I'm trying to build a winner and I'm going to tank and I'm like OKC, I got to commit to it over a couple of years.
Oh, right.
Because
Sure.
just doing it 1 year is like, I could end up with a guy who's not that good.
Yeah.
well, no, I think you're right. I mean, I do think small markets and certainly to get a star, that's your best chance. And but it's also true it may not work.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's like Oklahoma City, probably one of the best GMs in the league. And well, Chet Holmgren, okay. where are we there? Well, will he be really good next year if he's healthy? And you just don't know. So now your so-called rebuilding thing is now 2 years down the road again.
Yep.
And the people you want to pay the freight, they got to be real patient on this because they're sitting here going, well, in the Sacramento case, it's a little bit different. I mean, your playoff drought has a driver's license now, so that's not the same.
Yeah,
but
could graduate from high school.
I get it.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll just wait for you to catch up. Okay, so but if
You
you're
know,
gonna,
these did not exist the last time the Kings were in the playoffs.
so you're trying to top her.
There was
you're
no-
trying to
no.
top her right now.
I'm
Neither
just,
did this.
I think it did. But,
I forgot. Anyway, but you have to rely on the patience. So if you're going to do that, have that extended rebuild, then you're going to sit here because you have people coming to your games paying top dollar who are seeing crap for 3 seasons while you try to rebuild your team. And if it doesn't work, then you're adding extra years and years. And I know we're not worried about the emotions of people around here, but it tends to get a little bit difficult after a while.
Yeah, I've always said, I did a little thing with the Kings Herald, a Kings fan site, and I really enjoy their
it's
their
not a
takes.
little thing. You do a big thing with that.
Yeah.
For a little
Well, anyway,
And your headphones work there, and everything's good.
Yeah, I can hear them and everything, and so it works out really good.
It really does.
But a couple of the people will say, Kings, even now, just totally tank, tear it up, start over.
Right.
And I said, in a lot of ways, that probably would be the right thing to, maybe not now, but a year or so ago, maybe it would have been.
Year 14, maybe, yeah.
But hey, the people paying the freight ain't.
Yes,
They
exactly.
ain't that ship has sailed. It's out of the harbor, and they,
Yes. But I was just trying to embellish your point.
Oh,
That's all.
and I was with you.
Yeah. Except that the Kings are at that point now, are they not? Where right now you've got a fan base, by and large, and I know there's great Kings fans who are never going to waver in their allegiance, but by and large, the Kings right now are kind of like, they never did tank, but they're still in that spot where they would have been, and maybe they would have been here sooner if they tanked. So you're in the same situation.
Well,
right?
I guess.
I mean, don't you get the same? You know the fan base better than I do. The fans right now are like,
no, there's not. I agree with what they put out there, except now's too late.
yes.
It should have, maybe 10 years ago.
Yes.
Maybe a decade ago.
A decade ago
yeah.
would have been the time to tear this thing up.
Yeah, you
And,
can't double down and start that. Then.
I mean, really, if you look back, I honestly think the best time to do it would have probably been with the ownership change, to be honest with you, and then, trade DeMarcus, just start over.
And fans would have understood that.
They
right?
would
Like,
have.
okay, we're all starting.
Well,
here.
not
This is
all
great.
would have, but
No.
but I think
Would you have?
Well, have a plan. I always say have a plan.
Yeah.
When you can tell teams that don't have a plan and are just kind of doing things spur of the moment. I'd say have a plan. If you're going to rebuild, okay, let's rebuild, but let's rebuild for 1 year and then go, well, this isn't kind of not working, so let's make a crazy acquisition over here and set us back. And so then 2 years from now, I think we need to rebuild.
Well, I think they do. When the Kings last made the playoffs, and that was kind of a rebuild, with Bonzi, Sharif, Abdur-Rahim kind of hanging on our test. But, after that year, the Maloofs, I know, did not want to rebuild and tear it up. They're trying to stay alive financially and all that. And of course,
Marcus Thornton.
Of course,
they love the stars.
Of course, Jeff did, try to do the best job you could of hanging, spitballing, and duct tape and putting guys in there and hoping that you could win. And of course, it doesn't work very well, and so that's kind of how you got there. And then the next best chance to do it, like I say, came and went, and then here we are.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. Spitball and holding it together, crazy glue, kind of like your wardrobe every day.
Well, it's kind of like you, except there's just I don't even have duct tape or glue. I got.
mean,
nothing.
you look great.
Yeah.
Don't get me
I mean,
wrong.
Come on,
Again,
it's
with
the
the Dale Crandall look.
I go with the Dale Crandall look. I like Dale Crandall now.
I like
He
Dale
was with
Crandall a lot.
Milwaukee Braves. The Braves and the '57 Braves are fantastic
They
ball
won
club.
the world championship.
That's why
Should have
fantastic.
won it in '58, I think.
Yeah,
too, but
well,
they-
let's don't get into that.
No.
The umpiring in those days was terrible.
yeah.
Oh, Twitter was.
A fire.
Yeah.
Oh, the Twitter Spaces after those games, incredible.
Hey, are you excited at all about Aaron Judge? I know we like to talk baseball just a little bit with you.
Sure.
Aaron Judge chased down Roger Maris's.
I am. I really
you
am.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
No. I think that's a tremendous thing. Obviously, He seems like a class young man,
Yes.
and and obviously the Pujols thing, getting the
Yeah.
700.
That was amazing.
No, I followed that to that degree, and not if Judge could win the Triple Crown, I don't think he will, but if he could, I mean, to me, even though Shohei Ohtani's, we'll never see another guy like him. I
He is
don't think
truly
so.
generational. They
mean,
say that
well,
all the time, but he is truly
Truly
generational.
like multi-generation.
There you go. All right.
There's never been. I mean, he's it.
Yeah.
You can't compare him with anybody.
Right.
But in my mind, it still should be Judge. On a really good team, he should be MVP for sure. And Ohtani can win it the next 12 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're enjoying at
Yeah.
least that.
And
aspect of
another
baseball.
tremendous, I thought, event besides the President's Cup was fun in golf, but even more for me, Roger Federer and Rafael
Oh,
Nadal.
yeah.
boy.
You
The
know,
Labor Cup. Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously Federer, his final go around, and obviously the emotion attached to it. Two, maybe greatest players in the history of the game, and class.
He's a real Borg guy. Watch it.
Well, I love
and
Borg,
Rod,
too.
and Rod Laver too.
Well,
the original.
you
yeah.
might make the case for Laver.
Yeah. Well,
but
I
you
didn't say
can't-
Borg's the best, but I mean,
No,
he's good.
Yeah, he's terrific.
Pretty good.
He-
Pretty good.
He was terrific.
And that's the golden age of tennis, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Him
with
and McEnroe
and Connors
Yes,
and all those
yes.
guys. But
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's the best. I'm just
No.
saying that was the golden
what
age.
I would say, as much as I loved that era,
Yes.
and I followed those guys, Federer and Nadal would have kicked their butts.
Well, I mean, yeah, because those guys are like 55 and 60 now. So, I mean,
You
let's be
played
fair.
and you coached tennis, right? And didn't you have
No,
John?
I-
Isn't John Cougar Mellencamp one of your?
Well, in a
Tennis
tennis, I
students?
had tennis classes, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure what class he was in. It might have been something else. I don't know.
PE
I don't
or
see
something.
John being real good.
He
on the
didn't come
courts.
very
Yeah.
often. He didn't come very often.
He was out with Jack and Diane. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
He
Make
had
a little-
things going on at the Dairy Queen.
Yeah,
Come on.
looking for little pink houses.
He's over
man.
the Tasty Freeze. Yeah,
The
come
Tasty
on.
Freeze,
That's
yeah.
right. I got to get that right.
Yeah, see,
Fantastic.
Before we get back to the NBA, you were a high school quarterback of some renown.
Very some
What's-
renown, yeah.
It's, Ji-
Yeah.
it's Jimmy. Is Jimmy? Can the 49ers
Yeah.
get it done with Jimmy?
Well, not the Jimmy I saw the other night. No, they cannot get it done with Jimmy. So I just like hearing all the complaints. See now, Trey Lance looks pretty good now, huh? Well, what Jimmy does has nothing to do with what Trey does.
Trey
but
Lance
no.
can't play right now. He has a broken
Yeah,
ankle.
he's
Yeah.
not going to play anymore.
Yeah,
It doesn't really
yeah.
matter if you say,
Right.
well, we really treat him badly. He'll get his chance next year. He'll be back. Jimmy will not, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I
who
mean,
knows?
why don't you just throw your first of all, go out and find yourself a good backup to the backup. But secondly, if you're a 49er fan, go with Jimmy.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you got to do. So,
Right.
yeah.
They just got to run the ball. Everything they do is based on
Well,
running the ball. And they can't run the ball
But
right
They can't
now.
run the ball because
Can't
their
run the
guys
ball.
out.
Yeah.
They got new guys in there.
Yeah.
Injuries have been a problem for them, I would say.
Speaking of problems, what do you guys make of what's going on here with two teams that were legitimate NBA contenders? And I know there's a lot here that we don't even know. The Phoenix Suns, they
Yes.
got new ownership now, and during media day, they were talking about all the confusion. And remember a few weeks ago, we said Jay Crowder must be a tough guy to have around. Jay Crowder
I
wants
know.
out now. Yeah,
I
it's
saw
like, how
Jay
did
Crowder
you-
in the news
Yeah.
lately, and I'm like,
How
I
did
think
he
we
know
discussed
that?
him. Yeah.
And then, of course, in Boston, where the Celtics are saying, we don't even know what's going on. So, it's difficult to speculate. It's probably irresponsible. But as far as the basketball aspect of it, are either of these two teams going to be able to compete again this year, you think, based on where things are right now?
I think once the ball goes up, regular season, there'll be no problems. I really do. I mean, basketball's basketball. Once the game's going on, certainly Monty Williams is there.
Yeah.
The James Jones is there. I mean, I don't think the Phoenix thing has much to do with it, really. That's something the media wants to make a deal of. But once again, the game is the game.
They got Chris Paul.
Now,
yeah.
now the Celtics, I think, is a little different because they're having a new coach.
Yeah.
And
Who is it? Joe Faduzel's the coach
Joe
now?
Faduzel is the coach. Yes,
Joe
yes, yes.
Missoula.
Missoula.
Yes,
My
yeah,
mistake.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Easy one to make, by
bad.
the way. Yeah.
Foul on me.
Okay. Yeah, I knew you setting that up, but
Yeah.
but
He's beginning to get your game.
oh boy.
Yeah. Way to call him on that, Jared. Good job.
But anyway, yeah, I think they'll be fine. I mean, certainly you don't know how much they'll miss Ime Udoka, but maybe a lot, maybe not much at all. You just don't know. I always say, somebody's asking me about him. The Kings had him as a player for a while, Udoka. And I told somebody, I said, honestly, I didn't really care for him.
Okay.
I
All right, yeah.
really found him to be quite arrogant and dismissive, and so does that have anything to do with the price of bread? No, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those guys that over the years is like,
And at least Coach Faduzel's been there a while.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Missoula.
not Faduz. I got it
Yeah.
wrong.
But
I said it wrong.
Yeah.
But he's been there.
He's
a
been
number
there,
of years.
yeah, and the players seem to really like him, and so they're, what would they say, of course, but they're being positive in that regard. And
Yeah.
So here again, my guess is if there are issues, it'll show up in the first 10 games or so.
Yeah.
But I think, the Celtics are going to be one of the best teams in the league.
Well, I know you don't think that they really are going to be hurt by Gallinari's absence, but Robert Williams III with
Yeah,
his
yeah,
knee
definitely.
is a
Robert-
problem.
yeah.
Yeah,
Robert
he's-
Williams III, I'm not as big deal about Gallinari. I mean, I think Grant Williams brings probably just as much in a different way, or he's a better player, really, and can make shots.
Mhm.
So, to me, Gallinari, 5 years ago, yeah, but
Yeah.
what we saw last year in Atlanta,
Right.
Jerry's got Atlanta connections, so
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Atlanta.
Yeah,
Mr. Hawk.
I just think it's interesting because Udoka, I think one of the reasons he was successful is he held everybody accountable. And when you get a new guy, even if he's going to do the same thing as the previous guy, it's kind of not the same thing. But, it'll come down to like it always does, right, Jerry? Marcus Smart, Tatum, Brown, they're going to take over, right? Or Marcus Smart's going to be the guy running the show. And if they can go ahead and get everybody back on the same track, I don't
that's
think
the
they'll miss
problem with them is Marcus Smart taking over running the
May-
show. He's
may-
a good player, but he's not very good at that, in my opinion. He's not a very good
Starting
point guard.
more as a team leader. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
as a team
he's-
leader than a point guard. But, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, he's really a good player, but he's really not a real good point guard.
Right.
It's one of those things. But fortunately, I think it all works. They found a way to make it work, as you point out. Certainly Jaylen Brown can make plays.
Oh, man.
And so I think they'll be real good. They got their drama, Brooklyn, Lakers, now Phoenix, so
Mm-hmm.
we've
There's
got
plenty of drama.
We've got some, as the world turns
Yes.
going on, as the NBA turns
Our
going
mom
on.
used to watch that all
Oh,
the
she
time.
loved that. That
For
was her.
years
That was her
and
show.
years.
Oh, that was her show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to watch that too. I was going to graduate school one year. It's one of those things you get.
Mine was All My Children. That was mine. Yeah,
got
I did the
hooked
same.
on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
At some point, like I say, over a period of years, everybody has sex with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
oh,
mean,
yeah.
You talk about the show.
Yeah.
Okay, because I,
Yeah,
with
he
you,
threw me for a minute,
you
too.
never know. Whoa, what?
Me,
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
not,
hey.
me, not so much. No.
Not the comment. Comment
Comet was focused on the game.
Yeah.
on the floor.
If I were the owner of the Celtics, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not. I don't have a stake in
Not
any
really
NBA
a
team.
chance you will be either.
Yeah, I have a little Nike stock, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But I would have begged Brad Stevens to come back and coach. Now, I know he says he didn't want
I
to,
think
and
they
maybe
did.
that ship has sailed, but I would have begged him to come back for one more year and coach.
Well, I'd be surprised if they didn't talk to him about it. And if I'm Brad, I probably wouldn't have done it either. I think he's proven to be pretty good at what he's doing,
Right.
and the only thing for him is that if it goes bad,
Yeah.
then he screwed up two
Yeah.
jobs. So hey, so with
yeah.
the NBA, coming down to save the ship,
Yeah. You better save the ship.
You better
Yeah,
save the
yeah.
ship.
Yeah. Looking ahead to this season, and it's almost here. LeBron, you guys know this, but I was just getting ready for the show today. I actually do a little prep, believe it or not. But I was looking at LeBron, and we knew this, but still, it kind of shook me a little. LeBron this year is probably going to pass Kareem as the all-time
Yes.
leading scorer. That's incredible. Tip of the cap. We all remember
Yeah,
Kareem,
but
and
he got
where
to
that
start
was.
early, too.
He started early, but still,
Yeah, it's
LeBron. I know you did his first game. You look at what the hype was when he came into the league. He's exceeded the hype, has he not?
Yeah,
LeBron
I think he has. Yeah. To me, his hype and Kareem, Lou Alcindor, Wilt Chamberlain would all be very similar. They were seen as, once
Well,
in
we talked about generational.
several
Absolutely,
generational
yes,
level
yes.
players. You could almost put Oscar Robertson in that same group as well, and they all proved to be that as LeBron. Now, where it surprised me a little bit is his scoring, because I saw him more as a more athletic Magic Johnson type almost.
Facilitator
And-
plus.
And
Yeah.
as he's aged, he's gotten so he shoots the ball so much better than he could. But
I
Yeah.
think he made more threes than at any season last year, and I didn't he average like 27 a game last year?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. No, he's we probably never see his like again, and I mean definitely. If he hadn't really came to the Lakers, I'd really be a fan.
I'd really be rooting for him, yeah. But now, no,
No,
I'm
I
not.
can't do it. No.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you get shortchange him here because he started
I
early.
don't shortchange him. I recognize
literally
the accomplishment.
shortchanged him.
I'm just saying that we have to, they like to come out with statistics. Well, at the age of 20, he had the most points. Well, there were a lot of guys who couldn't play in the NBA at the age of 20 or
Sure.
18 or 19. So it's something you have to notice. He started when he was 18. So Lou Alcindor started when he was 22. That's a difference. Now, Lou Alcindor lasted 20 seasons, and so is LeBron. I think LeBron's in season number 20 right now. So, I mean, the longevity is basically the same, although obviously Kareem was older when he finished it. But no, I mean, you can't ignore the accomplishment, the achievement. He's one of the greatest players of all time, and that would be a record you didn't think was going to be caught, but now it seems it will be caught. So, yeah, I acknowledge it totally.
I just think when people look in the rearview mirror down the road a little bit, he's won, how many? 4 titles?
Four
And
titles.
Maybe adds to that all-time leading scorer. I think it's going to be hard in the future when people haven't seen them play as much. I think it's going to be hard for people to say that anybody was better than LeBron.
Well, but Kareem has won 6 titles, and he's won 6 MVPs, and that's more than LeBron. So, I mean,
But people don't even say, and I think we're all on the same page, but people now don't even say.
No, I
Kareem's
know.
better
I'm just
than-
saying, but making that argument down the road, it's still, if you're going to go by the numbers at 4, and I don't think he's going to win another one. If Anthony Davis has that big chip on his shoulder now, so maybe he'll come through this year, but I don't think he's going to win another one. So when you go to those numbers, he's going to have 4 titles, and I don't know how many MVPs he has, 3 or 4. And Kareem has 6 of both. So, I mean, if you just go into the numbers there, he's got the better numbers.
Yeah, when you get into that, trying to rank
And it's the
players
top of the top of the mountain.
Yeah, in different positions and all that. All I know is he's one of the greatest, absolute greatest to ever play.
Yeah, that's right.
If not the greatest.
Okay.
Then you could say the same thing about Kareem
And
or
Michael.
Jordan. I think you
Yeah.
could say Wilt, in my opinion. People say, well, they won 2 championships. Well, Russell and the Celtics had something to do with
Yeah,
that.
they had something to do with that.
And
And,
the 2 he won were on 2 of the greatest single-season teams
of
of
all time. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
put probably top 10 teams,
That
he
once
played on
for
2
one
of them.
season, yeah.
And when somebody averages more than 50 points a game and 25 rebounds,
That's good, right?
call me.
yeah.
Which he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think what you just said there, I agree, and it gets to the nature of basketball. It's not baseball where you have a guy and he has his turn at bat,
Right.
or he's facing these hitters. Basketball, it's all
Right.
works
It's
together.
not an
so-
individual
Yeah.
team sport like
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
team sport. And, I always say Oscar Robertson played on one championship team when he wasn't near at
Yeah.
his best. He was
Almost
still
at the end, yeah.
At the end, well, there again, Bill Russell and the Celtics, they couldn't
Yeah.
beat them.
Yeah, if you watch the show, Jerry West almost lost it because of Bill Russell.
Bill
and the
Russell
Celtics,
and the
right?
Celtics,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if I believe that the televised version, but still, he was very upset.
You know the great Jim Barnett, who's been with the Warriors
Oh,
for years, and
yeah.
really good guy. I did some
best.
pregame stuff with him a couple years ago in that lost Warrior season, and I was talking to him about those Bucks. You mentioned Oscar. 71 Bucks team was one of the most incredibly dominant team, and I don't think they got credit for that. And I asked him because he played against those guys. Jim, that 71 Bucks, wasn't that one of the most underrated teams? Weren't they an all-time great team? He goes, the next year we beat them, and I blocked Oscar's shot twice. So no, I don't.
And what do you say? Narrow version. I mean,
What do you say to
I
that?
don't know.
He actually played against
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
You blocked Oscar's shot.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
yeah.
Good.
He also
something to
told me
hang your
one-
hat on.
He told me one time, Jerry, he
Oscar
told me
was
that-
older, but still.
He said, I used to ask, just tell me a Wilt Chamberlain story. And he goes, okay, one time we're playing against Wilt, and I drive past him, and I scoop the ball in right past Wilt, and I made the mistake of pumping my fist.
Uh-oh.
And he said, the rest of the game, Wilt blocked every shot I took.
Yep.
Every shot I took because he saw me celebrate that I scored on him.
Yeah, well, he'll let you get yours, right? But don't show him up, okay? Just don't show him up.
Yeah, well, I know Russell had always said, he said, basically the league and all of us benefited from the fact that Wilt was really a good guy that didn't really
Yeah.
want to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
So
Said
yeah,
those-
put Kevin Garnett's mentality into Wilt or
And the
something
Wilt
like that, and forget about it.
Forget about it.
Okay. Well, we'll leave that there for now because we got the letter C coming up, and I don't know, maybe one of you guys
Oh.
want to go there, and I don't want to.
Oh, that's
I don't wanna
right,
steal your
yes.
thunder.
Well, of course.
For that. Let's get. You okay? You got an appointment or something? I know you should check in your watch.
Well, I like to know what time it is.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why I wear a watch.
That's why he wears one. Okay. You youngsters, millennials over here. is
I
like,
better pick
"Well,
it up
that's
here,
right.
Jerry. Sorry.
I better pick up my phone and see what time it is. Okay. All right, mister.
Let's get to Pod Save the Kings. Here they are, Sacramento
Okay.
Kings. Yeah, you never liked. See, at one point, Fano and I were talking about doing a pod before we had any idea you'd be interested.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what if we do something on the Kings? Pod Save the Kings. You know, like God Save
Yeah,
the Kings.
yeah,
And he
I
was
got-
like,
I got the reference.
I don't.
Yeah,
why would we
yeah,
do that?
yeah.
You don't care for that either, huh?
No.
Oh God.
Well, anyway,
See what I do with Jerry? Come on, you have stones. I got nobody. You know.
I thought it was, kind of clever.
Yeah, pod
What?
save
Yeah.
the green. And then he
I
sits
know.
back like this. He goes, he's waiting for his text back. Okay,
I
that's gonna
I
knock
thought he
him
made a
dead.
good point on this. Kind of clever. It wouldn't hit clever.
No,
It
but
would
it's
be
kind of
of
clever
Yeah.
adjacent. Yes,
Yes.
they're very nice.
All
yes,
right,
next to clever.
The unnamed King segment. So
Okay.
there's a lot of optimism that this is the year for this franchise.
Okay.
And what seems like it's a little different to me is that this year some of the optimism is coming from outside the building. The past years, as we know, the Kings have always, this is great. But now you've got people outside going, I think that could work. So should Kings fans be reasonably optimistic that they're going to be relevant this year?
Well, I'll go with the Phantom's thought first. I have a lot of respect for his acumen.
Thank you, Jerry. It was setting me up so you can cut me down later. That's well done. I think part of it is because they've added names that people recognize. For so long, the Kings have got guys, that guy? Yeah, okay. Now, hey, Kevin Herter, I know who that is. Malik Monk, yeah, he was good in college. So I think that's – and then the Keegan Murray draft choice kind of universally acclaimed right now. As
Did
far
you know
as,
that a couple pods ago you called him Keegan Bradley and we just let it go?
he won a major.
Yeah,
So
okay,
put
so
that
good.
down there, yeah.
Okay.
So I think the fact that they've added these guys that people know, I think is cause for optimism. I think they have the pieces in place. But when you have a couple, more than 2 or 3 pieces that you're expecting to come in and help, it's a process. You've got to wait. You got a lot of movable parts there. So I don't think necessarily it'll happen right away. I think they need a little time to get everybody on the same page. But I think the reason for optimism is because Kevin Herter and Malik Monk, these guys are guys that we've heard of, and they come in and they fill roles theoretically. And then there's the Mike Brown component as well. It's like, well, he was coached good when he had good guys on his team, and that's good enough for me. So I know why there's reason for optimism. But again, there's been reason for optimism for 16 years now. So it's kind of hard to get too optimistic about it.
May I go next because we really want to save your,
For
the
next
main
next
course.
next episode.
Yeah. To me, the most encouraging thing is this: for years, the Kings have tried to emulate the Warriors, but to me, they have been blind to the most important aspect of that. The Warriors have been, as great as the offense has been, everything they've done really has been based on defense.
Right.
They've been a really good defensive team, and the Kings they haven't cared about their defense. And now it looks like at least they're addressing that. So I think that's the most encouraging thing with a coach, Mike Brown, who actually ran the Warrior defense. We've talked about how he inherited a really good defense, so it's not like he's some necessarily defensive mastermind, but at least they seem like they are really committed to addressing that side of the ball. And to me, until you do that, you don't have any chance really of accomplishing anything. So to me, that's what's most encouraging.
Well, that is. Don't disagree with anything you guys said. I think a couple things that struck me about this roster now and why I'm probably optimistic more than I should be, because I am every year and get slapped right in the face. But still,
Usually it doesn't take long either.
No,
does it?
usually by December it's like, holy cow, quit hurting me.
Already rubbing your face. Yeah.
I'm an innocent bystander. Come on, but the coaching hire very solid, and I agree with what you said. I think his background certainly with the Warriors was defense, and so he has what good defense looks like, and that's important. I also like the idea. In the past, the Kings would bring in players as free agents or trades or whatever, and be optimistic. The George Hills, Trevor Ariza's,
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
But they were older guys, and I like the idea that Malik Monk, Kevin Herter, young guys. So they
Not at the end of the rope.
that
Yeah,
have got
yeah.
a reason. You got a reason to believe they're not only going to be good but get better.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that's all encouraging. And just like I'd said on the podcast recently that I do, talking about making the playoffs. I said, can they make the playoffs? Yes, they could. Odds are against it. I said it's probably too two key factors. Really, it's injuries, number one. And injuries, the Kings have got to stay away from injuries, be very healthy, and 3 or 4 key teams ahead of them
And other
need
teams
to have a bunch
need
of
to
them.
get them. Yes, yes.
Really, I think without that, without some teams that we know are more talented and better,
Right.
they have to, they probably have to lose some guys for long periods.
At least you have a handful of teams in the West that don't appear serious about competing this year, and Utah now is one of those teams, right? So that should work in the Kings' favor. What's discouraging to me, a couple of things. One is that it looks like there's a mandate this year, Monty McNair's last year of his contract, like you better win now or else. And then if they tear it down again, who knows? But more than that, speaking of the importance of defense, you've got your foundational pieces, Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, and neither one of them has ever really been a good defensive player. So that's
Not known
what
for the
concerns-
defense,
Yeah.
And that's the thing with defense. Like we talked a couple of weeks ago about Ben Simmons, and we're all excited about Ben Simmons. I'm like, I'll believe it when he's actually on the floor. And defense is the same thing. It's all great to talk about defense and get a coach that stresses defense, but you've got to watch the games and see the team playing defense before you can get committed to it. And that's what I think the deal is.
Yeah, and over a period of time. I mean, I'd be really disappointed if we don't see it early, but mid-December, you better still be seeing it.
So the initial, it'll be easy to do it initially and get all excited about it, but you got to maintain that.
So we'll see. There's reason to be optimistic. I've said before, the thing that scares me the most is the Las Vegas Gamblers put the Kings at 32.5.
Ooh.
And those guys scared me to death because they're right too damn much. They
So
make
it's going to be 33 or 31, you know that.
I mean, there's a lot of big casino buildings over there that those guys are right way too much to suit me on that.
You're going over on that. Phantom, what's your official advice?
Well,
was there?
no, I was going to go over, but then Jerry just reminded me those buildings didn't get there by accident, okay? Yeah, because I'm looking at 34, 35.
Well, there
Come
you
on.
go.
All right, yeah.
Cha-ching.
But I'm not going to sweat that out with a Kings team that's let me down, as we say, for a driver's license 15, 16 years in a row now. I'm not going to sit there and go, yeah, I'm pretty confident what they're going to get. No, I'm not confident on anything. Since the phone was invented.
Well, it's like I told those guys, they said, what do you think? I said, well, I'm going to predict 38 or higher. And they said, why? Because I always do.
Yeah.
That's
Kind of my
consistent.
thing.
I always do.
Yeah, for kissing.
And then,
16
it's
years
like,
at 38,
holy, and I don't put any money on it. So, 38. How about 48? But I
don't care.
I think last year I said 38, and they sorely disappointed me.
Well, that happens, Jim.
Yeah, it does. I'm saying 38 again, but I think they are truly better prepared to win 38 with the coaching hire, the additions, the rookie. I think they are, and I'll be very disappointed if they don't get to that, regardless of the Gamblers. But they do scare me when they put a line out there.
May I ask you guys a question that my wife asked me, and sometimes it's like I'll have to ask Jerry.
She asked you a question?
Oh,
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
sports, right?
Yeah, basketball.
Okay, good. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
because
She's a big basketball fan.
kind of
She
open-ended right
loves
there. Yeah,
Kuminga. She
Yeah.
loves Jonathan Kuminga. But she asked me, I think it was yesterday. She says, "So Luke Walton, was he just a bad coach? What happened with Luke Walton?"
I think he was probably a bad fit. I think the part of the problem Luke had was there was no reason for him to be the Kings coach. I mean, Dave Yeager did a good job, and I think a lot of people saw it that way. It's like, Vlade, what are you doing here? Why are we rushing into this? And then you don't even interview anybody but Luke.
That's always a pretty nice red flag right there.
And
yes.
then, the sexual harassment charge that was later dismissed. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that went wrong with that, I think. And so, probably Luke's one of those guys, in my opinion, with a more veteran team would be fine.
He was a few years ago, just when he was still with the Warriors, he was considered like he was the top coaching prospect.
Yeah, well,
the
he
Lakers got him. Everybody.
His record was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens.
Interesting what team he was on. Yeah, he was with the Warriors, so that probably had something to do with that. Yeah.
But I mean, really, will he get another chance? No, I think Luke's guy probably is going to have to reinvent himself as an assistant for a few years and maybe get another chance. But in the short of thing, I mean, he just wasn't probably he wasn't the right fit, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that.
Do you think Luke Walton as an assistant would be one of those assistants who says to the head coach, hey,
You know,
those are good. I like those guys. Yeah.
yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's just all, I don't know. I gotta go look at the tape. That's what he
Yeah,
would say.
yeah.
I gotta go check the tape. We got beat by 70. I don't know how good our defense was.
I will
Let me
say
check
this:
The tape.
if he did that with Kerr would probably say, "Okay."
Yeah, see? Yeah, you got to know who you're working with.
As I
It's
mean,
all about fit, Jerry.
Steve Kerr, really is almost an egoless head coach, and one of the real qualities that,
Yes.
that I
Yeah.
admire in him.
It's a very
Yeah.
nice quality.
Yeah.
Not a quality that's shared by much of the population.
No,
not
it's
at
pretty
all.
rare,
No.
pretty
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mike Brown yesterday at Media Day talked about the importance of culture, and it's one of the overused words in sports, but it is important. And I just don't know, given the way the Kings are structured, if it's even a possibility here. I mean, you've just got so much turmoil every which way.
Right.
Maybe if he can, in terms of basketball ops, get everybody on the same page defensively, maybe that addresses some of that. But from what we've seen since Viveka's owned the team, it's hard for me to imagine that organization is ever, with him running it, ever going to be, all right, everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, you say establish a culture. Well, there's no culture there, to grow. You've got to invent a culture, and that's the toughest thing to do when you have like we said, all the moving parts. And he comes in, and maybe one of the precepts he has, maybe it's something everybody latches onto and builds from there. But you can't just come in and go, yeah, we need to build a culture. Well, that's a kind of a
Well, the
tough
Kings
thing
have been
to
saying
do.
that for years.
Yeah. Plus, you have to get, you got to get some culture builders in there. We haven't had a lot of culture builders, and we've had too many. It's been like throwing darts at the dartboard all the time, and that's what they've tried to do. And hopefully, they'll hit one and go, oh, that's what we need to do now, and that's just not the way what we need to do. So it hasn't been sustainable.
Isn't culture, Jerry, and you were part of this, isn't culture just really everybody in the organization is just pretty much has the same goals and is committed to the same things? Everybody. And it's like, yes, we're all working together in this regard. That's when you have a culture.
I mean, I always remember Jack McCloskey, the great GM for Pistons, the Bad Boy Pistons. He told me once. He said, "Until you have a team off the floor, you'll never have one on the floor." And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Having said that, I always remember the culture being changed with the Sacramento Kings in 1998-99 after I think a 24-win season and losing 19 of the last 20 when it was at the low point, and the team made the playoffs the next year. You know what changed the culture? You had a new coach, Rick Edelman.
Yeah.
He wasn't worried about changing culture. Had some new players. Actually winning friggin' games.
Yeah, that helps. That helps with your culture.
Winning games.
Well, because if you're all going to buy in,
I
yeah.
never heard Rick talk about, we got to change the culture. We got to figure out how to win.
Yeah.
And it's amazing winning games, and guys like one another when they're winning.
Yeah.
Fun, playing, it's fun to play.
Yes.
Playing together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that culture changed, boom, just
Yeah.
like that.
But I think the ingredients were there, like Jeff Petrie.
Well, no,
agreed.
they were
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I mean, you had a team off the floor, and then basically you brought in enough talent to have a team on the floor. But all I'm saying is, and I know it's not probably in today's sports world, nobody sees it this way, culture is winning. If you want a winning culture, win first, culture comes second.
Gotcha.
You can have everybody get together and sing Kumbaya and hang out together.
Sure,
And
yeah.
buy each other Christmas gifts. And if you're 11 and 30, it isn't going to look.
You got a real happy bad team.
Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go.
See, I thought we had good culture on the show, and then Phantom, when he, last week when he steps on your cable and disconnects your audio. Now I don't know.
If you want to get a good culture, the person running the show can't keep pointing fingers at others.
Yes,
I don't mean that. Maybe I'm the only one feeling that way, Jerry.
It's called winning.
That's not a winning player right there.
Yeah.
That guy's out for his own stats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a stat guy.
He's
Isn't
a
he?
stat stuffer over there. Come on.
Should we wrap it up here with A to Z, NBA players
can
A
do
to
that.
Z?
Sure, that'd be a good
because
thing
the whole
to do
idea,
right
what's the name of the show again? The
Old-fashioned three. Yeah, okay.
As we look at how great the NBA. Yeah, thank you.
It's up on
Stones.
the screen. Sure.
How great
Yeah.
the NBA is today, with an eye towards those who helped it get to this point. So we go through A to Z. We each name a player for whatever reason. Greatest player we ever saw, worst, funny story about him, whatever it is. A to Z. Today we're in the letter C.
Yes.
Do we dare let him start?
Yes, we have to.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Because if we don't, he may never end.
Okay, so now I wasn't going to do a story, but now I will. So you guys know I'm a Connie Hawkins guy, right?
Yeah.
And so when he was in high school and stuff, he was one of the greatest playground players there ever was. Still is.
Did you ever see him play? How do you know that?
Yes, I do. I read a book.
Okay.
You might want to try it. So he was, they would travel because they couldn't find competition in their area, so they traveled and traveled and traveled. One time they went down to Manhattan Beach. This is in his biography, and they were playing a team in Manhattan Beach, and they looked on a side court, and there was a guy with his dad taking layups, 100 with his left hand, 100 with his right hand. They said, he's not very good. He's bad. And that was Billy Cunningham. So Billy Cunningham is my guy. Billy Cunningham, Philadelphia 76ers, Carolina Cougars, Philadelphia 76ers, one of the all-time great players, one of the 75th anniversary team, also coached the 76ers, won a title with them as a player and as a coach. And I think he's just one. And his nickname was the Kangaroo Kid. And I don't want to get crazy, but he's a white guy. That's a pretty good nickname for a white guy. So that's all I'm saying. Billy Cunningham, that's my guy.
All right, that's a good choice.
That is a good choice.
Yeah.
Really. And by the way, I really a good guy. I was when he was running the Miami Heat. I had some deals with him,
some run-ins with him.
Yeah, he's a classy guy.
Well, that's that
really,
Philadelphia team that he coached. I mean, that team made the finals 4 times in a 6 or 7 year span. You don't hear about it that much.
Yeah,
because they only won the one when Moses got there. But yeah, as a coach and as a player, I mean, there are several guys who are equally famous as both, and he's one of them, I think.
Yeah, and really did a nice job building that franchise.
That was a good choice.
Anyway, I think that was good.
Okay, all right, fellas.
You want me to
let's
go, or you want? Yeah,
I'm starting to build a winning culture.
You want me to go, or you want Jerry?
No, I want Jerry to go
Okay,
next.
all right.
Okay, well, I've got 2, but I'll put them together here because I think there is actually a point, which of course you will disagree with. But
well, yeah,
there's
that's
2.
The show, yeah.
Number 1, DeMarcus Cousins.
Ooh.
I did not see that coming.
Okay.
Because,
and I always say because, I mean, he really had most valuable player type talent. Had a chance just on a talent to be the best player in Sacramento Kings history. Now he wasn't because Weber won and all that, but obviously a lot of other issues off the floor, on the floor with getting along with teammates, different things, and
coaches,
coaches and TV people and ushers, whoever, and bus drivers,
politicians, yeah.
So it's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, there's a guy that probably needed a little more professional help and was offered, but rejected it. And it's a shame because that he could have accomplished so many things. And my other guy is just the almost opposite. Vince Carter, who was a brief Sacramento King, obviously a Hall of Famer, had a marvelous career. Certainly, and as his talents faded, he was still a valuable role player on a lot of teams, a championship team in Dallas, and of course he's a terrific broadcaster. But what a wonderful, sensitive, caring, big name player. Always, yin
and the yang.
I mean, really, if there's ever a guy that did everything right, it was probably Vince Carter. And sadly, DeMarcus, to his own demise, did a lot of things wrong.
The thing that impresses me about Vince Carter is that you took Vinsanity when he came into the league, same year as Jason Williams, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he won the dunk contest in Oakland, and you look at that player, and you look at the player he became later on, not at the very end, but a little before that. It's like 2 different guys.
2 different guys,
right? Because he became a guy who could shoot.
And really, like I say, it's remarkable how one-on-one, the main guy was able to fit in as a secondary guy with the Mavericks, and certainly, with the bad team with the Kings, he still found a way to.
And he was on some good Nets teams too, right?
And some good Nets teams, yeah,
Phoenix,
created by able to adjust. Probably is why he'll be a Hall of Famer and is a Hall of Famer.
Yes,
because of longevity and value to a lot of teams in a lot of different ways. So those 2, just one of those things I always say, for every great player, there's 3 or 4 of equal talent that don't make it for various reasons.
Is this true? Maybe you guys know. The Warriors were interested in Vinsanity, but he decided to go to the Kings because he knew he could play. Like, he could have gotten a ring potentially,
but he wanted
to play, so he went to the Kings.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. I mean, I don't know all the backstory there.
But he wanted to play. What was it like being around him?
Oh, he's terrific to be around.
Yeah.
I mean, really a guy that easy to talk to, very knowledgeable, very intelligent. I always say probably the best workout I've ever seen pre-draft.
Oh, really?
Of all my years was Vince Carter.
Wow.
We had him in that draft. I mean, you talk about breathtaking. I mean,
iPod, take your
sh-
breath away. Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
You don't do a lot of stuff, but
He's a great playground player
Oh,
too.
were
Yeah.
Were you guarding him in that workout?
Yeah.
I would not want any part.
No. Just put the chairs out there and let them
the,
take him. Yeah.
the Caucasian comet would have been stuffed in the twine.
Yeah.
But, no, he was. Yeah, he put on a show. I mean, you knew that if you could get him, then you knew that you weren't.
Mm-hmm.
But and of course, I think the Warriors actually traded
Antoine Jameson,
who was
Jameson.
really
John
good
Jameson,
too.
yeah.
Who was
Yeah.
really good, but he wasn't Vince Carter.
Right.
He
right.
was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we knew it's like, boy, if this guy slips to 7, that's that's it.
Yeah.
But it ain't
But you knew it wasn't going to happen.
Got him
gonna happen.
eventually,
Yeah.
but it took a while.
Yeah, it took
Yeah.
a couple of decades. Yeah.
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 Well, that's going to be tough. But you guys
Yeah.
coming up with two players with great nicknames.
That's right.
Yeah, Vinsanity, Kangaroo Kid. I want to see if you can guess who my guy is. He was, I think, 4-time All-Defense, 15th in assists all-time, Hall of Famer, and he was a point guard on one of the greatest teams, single-season teams of all time. Yeah, it's letter C.
Maurice Cheeks.
That's what I was going to say.
You guys are right. That's
Yeah.
it.
I was
Mo
going to say
Cheeks.
Bimbo Coles first, but then Maurice Cheeks was probably right. Yeah. Well done.
And I say Mo Cheeks because he was a great player who I think sometimes we forget about him. He was a point guard on the 83 Sixers.
Right.
We already
that
talked about
fantastic
them.
team.
A really tough defensive player. But there's two other reasons besides what he did on the court that I pick him. He had maybe one of the greatest assists when he was a coach, and he wasn't a very good head coach, right? But he was seen as a great assistant. I believe.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, so he was coaching the Blazers, and remember when the 15-year-old singing the national anthem?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
And she's like, she loses place, which
Yeah.
Get nervous.
Yeah. It's a tough
and-
song. Yeah.
Yeah, Mo Cheeks came out and put his arm around her, and he was like telling her the words and helped her
Yeah,
get through.
man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's well done, Mo.
Yeah.
Well done.
And the other thing is, my wife Sheena,
Yeah.
when she was pregnant with her first child, she put on a little weight, is what was
Hey,
supposed to happen.
yeah.
Hey.
And he
Yeah.
came up behind her one time and he started calling her Mo Cheeks. Said, "Oh yeah, you got Mo Cheeks here. I'm gonna start calling you Mo Cheeks."
Yeah. That's a good story. I didn't know it was me. I didn't remember it was me, but that was a long time ago. Yeah,
was you.
I knew where the story was going because I was going to say that myself, but I didn't remember I did it. I thought you did it.
And,
in my mind, Jerry,
Miss-
he did it.
Now, did Mrs. Gleason resort to any type of violence in that situation?
Believe it or not, it was a very blissful time for us.
It was
and
the
she-
'80s, Jerry.
I think she loved it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think she's like, oh, that Phantom.
Yeah.
I think it was one of
Oh,
those.
yeah, it was,
Can you imagine
yeah.
if I'd said that, Jerry?
I bet, though, here's the thing. I know your wife's probably very sensitive because I can tell how she's been so nice to me.
Yes,
but
she has been.
probably said, "Oh, fam," then went into another room and broke down and cried. And
That's what I was hoping for. Yeah.
So, Billy Cunningham,
Billy Cunningham.
Vince Carter,
Yeah.
and wow, that's pretty good. Mo Cheeks.
Mo Cheeks.
Mo
Hall
Cheeks
of
good,
Famers.
yeah, Mo.
All Hall of Famers. There. Well,
Yeah.
will be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hall of Famers.
Mo, heck of a player, and like you say, really, I thought did a solid job. I mean, it wasn't that once typical. Just the expectations were higher than probably the talent, but certainly his career great assistant. Been very valuable. I know with Scotty Brooks in Oklahoma City, just loved him. And
Yeah. So subscribe on YouTube, right? And
Absolutely.
look for our website. It's coming soon. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's
Remember
hard.
the name of it?
Yeah.
You remember the name of the show?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in fact, that's I don't want to say it because
You don't want-
the website's not ready yet. But,
Oh, I see. So we
that'll
don't
be
want
how you
them
find
flocking to it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing
So
about you. Of
we'll
course.
see you next week. Anything to add, Stones? No. See you next
No, he's
time
good.
on the Old Fashioned 3.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.